Throughout my career in consulting, it's been 32 years this year, I have noticed that everybody wants to be authentic. Authenticity is one of the core values that seem to come back most often. It looks like in our society, we seek authenticity because we want individualization. We want the power of being in control of our destiny, of our thoughts. We want to be empowered. We want to have the freedom to build a life. And for us entrepreneurs, that means build a business that enables us to find who we are, define our identity as entrepreneurs. And in that quest, the quest of authenticity, I noticed a gap that you probably also noticed too, which is the gap between our words and our actions. It's not uncommon to see in a company guidebook or on a company website the values of this company. And if it happens that one of the values is authenticity, it's proudly announced as being one of the defining rules to make better decisions. And then when you experience this organization, either from within or from the outside, you may notice that authenticity actually falls short. In the sales process, there's a lack of transparency. There is the use of fear of missing out artificially to force you to buy. In the onboarding and hiring process, there is a lot of things that probably are not disclosed. In the leadership, there's a lot of talks, but not a lot of walks. In the marketing, well, there is probably overemphasis, over-amplification of how great the product is, but in reality, it will fall short. These are typical symptoms that we have all seen, and therefore, that's why people feel unsafe in workplaces where there is a gap between aspired values, I would say. And there is nothing wrong about aspiring to the value of authenticity, and the gap between aspiring values of authenticity and lived values and living and lived authenticity through decision making and actions and walking the talk. In going further in my exploration about this phenomenon, myself, I was a bit tired and disappointed in several of the consulting firms, the large consulting firms I work with. I was a little bit discouraged, to be honest. There was a lot of over-promising. I remember once a consulting firm I work with that I won't name here, and the CEO had announced that, the company was going to become the biggest platform for entrepreneurship, that we would have the possibility to test ideas and see possibilities through new business models. And that was just talk. Nothing of that happened. So I decided to, once again, for the fourth time, just go on my own and start my new company, MetaHelm. MetaHelm here is my new business. And in the beginning, I made the same promises a lot of business leaders make. I'm going to be true to myself. I'm going to be free. I'm going to be authentic. I'm going to be real. I'm going to always speak my mind. I'm going to only develop products that people want and need. And then in the sales process, I will never force anyone to, I will never, not force, but I will never lure anyone into buying my services. And yet I felt like it was a really, really hard, bar. It was a really, really high bar. And there was a moment a few years ago when I caught myself wanting to develop an outreach campaign on social media using LinkedIn, through which I would have a robot just connecting with a bunch of people and really luring them and appealing to them with my message. And that robot just connected me with a bunch of people that could care less about what I do and what I offer. And that was the moment when I realized I don't want to build that type of firm. This is not what I'm here for. I really want to build a firm that has a promise, that has a value proposition, that has a message that really people care about. And that required me to obviously stop that campaign, There was a loss. I said goodbye to my money because it was due. And that required me to really rethink a lot of my processes, If I really wanted to stick to that narrative of authenticity, I had to find this internal strength that I call narrative power. And since then, I even I developed a definition for narrative power. Narrative power in our context is the leadership ability to defy the norm when the normal is wrong. So for me, there were norms, there were normal things, commonly accepted things in developing a consulting firm that I was going to say no to. And instead of just doing what everybody else does, I decided to use my narrative power, my ability to defy the normal when the normal is wrong. When I felt like the norms that I was using didn't ring true, they were not genuinely what I was trying to do, I decided to use that narrative power and go against the grain, go upwind. That's the more difficult route. And for a while, I thought, okay, so I'm telling you this today, and I'm making this connection, but for a while, I decided that the way I was defined, I noticed that the way I defined narrative power wasn't necessarily related to authenticity, and it took me literally a couple of years to really understand what that connection is, and 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 here I am, doing the exercise live, practicing what I preach, hopefully creating and publishing my ideas in a meaningful way, meaningful to me, but meaningful to you. So narrative power, why narrative power and authenticity? Well, first of all, to be authentic, to become an authentic leader, you have to be willing to change the status quo. You have to be not just a follower, but a trailblazer, and somebody who is willing to say no and resist the the things that happen commonly in business, but that don't feel like it aligns to who you are and how you want to do business. So you have to really become that advocate for what you believe that is right, what you believe that is true. And the best thing to do that is to actually write down what you know to be true. One of the very popular examples is Google, who actually published in the early 90s 10 things we know to be true. So look it up, Google it. It's one, I think it's on Google about page now. And those 10 commandments, those 10 principles are still intact, unedited, just genuine, and they are still there. Type in today 10 things we know to be true. Another observation is that to be authentic means that you align with your core values. And to do that, you have to demonstrate that you act in accordance to what you believe is most important. Values are how we decide. That's the simplest, most practical, actionable definition that I know of what values are. If you want to see and really understand people's value, look at how they make decisions. Just look on a daily basis how they make decisions. How they make decisions with their money, in their relationship, with the environment, in business, with their health, and you will learn anything you need to learn about how people value things around them. Be careful with the big talk of, oh yeah, I make this a priority and I value this and this is really important to me. And notice how people actually behave in front of you and what decisions they make. So once again, values are how we decide, and aligning with your core value requires narrative power because it requires you to defy the normal values when those normal values are wrong, to defy the normal decisions that you make to to realign with who you want to become. So if you've talked for a long time about managing money differently or managing your health differently or building a business that has more impact and maybe makes less money, for instance, or a business that delivers services a certain way, look at how you make your own decisions as a leader and see how they align with your core values. This is really how you will demonstrate if you have narrative power. Do you have a signature argument? Do you have a core belief, and call it a philosophy or an ideology or something that is so integral to how you live, how you exist, that it shows throughout your business, right? So that is a demonstration of what narrative power can do for you to become more authentic. Another aspect of how narrative power is helpful to be authentic is in helping you not only make decisions in opposition and just for the sake of opposing to the norm, but to make them more purposefully and more strategically, right? So I hear this all the time. Oh yeah, in your market, you have to have a point of view and differentiate. And I noticed that in the beginning, people just want to argue and differentiate and disagree with their colleagues, also known as competitors, but I don't like the word competitors. That's for another video. And they do this just for the sake of being contradictory, just for the sake of opposing and having a contrarian point of view. True narrative power helps you differentiate in your market, of course, because a strong perspective is a great reason to disagree with your colleagues. Not just, as I said, I'm repeating myself a little bit, not just to disagree, but to do it in a purposeful way with sound reasons and with reasons that will bring positive outcome to your community, positive outcome to how your industry operates or how you serve certain type of clients or how you do the work that you do in general. And I see this a lot, for instance, in marketing. There is so many marketing firms that it's hard to differentiate. But when you really truly do marketing in an authentic way, you will find yourself, offering choices and priorities that really go against the grain. But if you do this for the benefit of your clients, for the benefit of a community, well, it's a more purposeful and purpose-driven way to do it. Again, this is a sign of increased narrative power. Narrative power is also a way to empower people and influence and grow your influence. I remember working with a senior leader at the cosmetic company L'Oreal several years ago, and we were preparing for a big presentation that she was going to deliver, TEDx style with thousands of people in front of her, and she had to deliver a message that at first was going to be really sugar coated, right? And I helped her grow her narrative power by identifying what the truth was and learning how to frame that truth and really be as authentic as possible and tell the truth about one of the brands that she was within the L'Oreal holding company and portfolio of businesses. She decided that she wanted to tell the truth, and I helped her really frame and identify how to tell the truth about that brand. And the feedback, and so she delivered her talk, and it was a very controversial topic. So she told an uncomfortable, inconvenient truth about one of the brands, and she received massive positive feedback. And that move just influenced people to do the same, to speak the truth, to tell the truth, to be more transparent, which, by the way, is definitely one of the core values at L'Oreal. Great organization, great company. And sometimes it takes the courage of a leader to step on stage in front of everyone, the president and the board of directors, and just to tell the truth about the elephant in the room. In fact, we called this segment when she announced, she shared the news, the elephant in the room. There you go. And finally, I think that narrative power really helps you be more authentic because it helps you be realistic and more sustainable with your goal. Authenticity is about being realistic with what the value you want to create. And you have to resist the temptation to have completely crazy goals or or just say, oh yeah, my business is going to make 7 or 8 figures, because it sounds good. Because every time you go on Instagram, you see all of those gurus and coaches and other entrepreneurs who tell you, well, if you're not making 700, 7 figures or 6 figure or whatever, you're not successful. Well, that's their narrative. That's not necessarily your narrative. That's not mine, for instance. I'm not sure if I don't know, and I don't fight for MetaHelm to drive 7 or 8 figures. I mean, this is not the race. This is not what I'm chasing, you know. But if that's yours, then great, great, accept it, accept it. But do it in a way that is sustainable for you, right? I know that with the business that I have, if I could probably make MetaHelm spit, multiple figures or whatever, millions of dollars next year. Is this something I want to do? Do I have the resources? Do I have the energy? Do I have the health? Do I have the desire to grow a big team that I don't treat well, that I don't necessarily have the time to care for? Not necessarily, right? So narrative power helps you focus on sustainability, integrity, and really being realistic with your goals, and doing so in a way that creates long-lasting impact and positive impact for people. So I hope this helps you understand why I've been talking about narrative power for a long time. Again, the definition is the leadership ability to defy the normal when the normal is wrong. It's because it's really what is required if you want to be authentic. Authenticity is not just about writing your beautiful words and beautiful values on your website. It's about every day fighting for what feels right to you and leaving on the side what others feel right to them if it doesn't align with you. So I hope this helps, and I hope that this helps you become a more true, genuine, authentic, um, honest, long-lasting, sustainable, cool to work with business leader. And I always welcome your comments, your questions, and seeing your example and seeing you thrive as an authentic leader. Thank you so much.